They're pretty stark. It's like it's stressful when you do it, right?
One minute warning.
Anna?
All right, everybody, good afternoon. The May 15th, 2026 SANDAG Public Safety Committee meeting is called to order. I'd like to ask our interpreter to walk us through how to access our interpretation services for today's meeting. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon. Announcement from the interpreter. To use the interpretation feature, please scroll to the bottom of the Zoom screen where the meeting controls are. Click on the interpretation icon, world, and select English as your language. If you are joining through the Zoom mobile app, cell phone, tablet, etc., please press the lips extend interpretation and then choose your language. Finally, click on mute original audio to not hear the original Spanish load in the background. Headsets are available for interpretation. If you're in the meeting room, please check out a headset from the receptionist in the lobby. Buenas tardes. Aviso por parte del intérprete. Para hacer uso del servicio de interpretación, favor desplazarse a la parte inferior de la pantalla de Zoom, donde aparecen los controles. Haga clic en el icono de interpretación, globo terráqueo y seleccione Spanish, español. Si está utilizando la aplicación móvil de Zoom, celular, tableta, etc., presione los puntos suspensivos, luego interpretación y luego el idioma. Si no desea escuchar el audio original en inglés en el fondo, por favor seleccione Mute Original Audio, silenciar audio original. Contamos con auriculares disponibles para el servicio de interpretación. Si se encuentra en la sala de reunión, favor de pedir auriculares con la recepcionista en el vestíbulo. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the land that we call home. The tribal nations of the San Diego region has historically faced injustices. We acknowledge the harmony that has existed between the land, nature, and its original peoples who have since endured displacement, persecution, and systemic oppression. We pay our respect to the unceded territories and homelands of the 18 tribal nations in our region, the most in any county in the United States, from 4 cultural groups, the Kumeyaay, the Dequeño, the Luiseño, and the Cupeño, and the Cahuilla. This land has nourished, healed, protected, and embraced them for many generations in a relationship of balance and harmony. As members of the Sandag artist community, we acknowledge this legacy. We aspire to learn from Indigenous traditional knowledge and experiences in undoing the injustices of the past. Now will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready? Begin. You may be seated. Thank you very much. Before we jump into the meeting, I will ask our clerk to confirm if we have a quorum. Francesca?
Thank you, Chair. We do have a quorum.
Outstanding. We'll start today with the non-agenda public and member comments. Public comments will be for 2 minutes per speaker for the purposes of civility and orderly meeting. We kindly ask that you refrain from using loud, threatening, profane, or abusive language. Francesca, do we have any public speakers on this item?
Thank you, Chair. We do. We'll start with Purita Javier and then go to Cesar Javier.
Good afternoon. We are hurt and I cannot and live in fear from next to forward. Hazardous home business, ceramics manufacturing with kiln located, constructed, and operated since 1984. My exposure to ceramics kiln began in 1997 and my husband Cesar in 2012. We formally reported these environmental hazards beginning June of 2021 with the police, fire, code, and the enforcement, but they cannot investigate because they have permit. Treasurer's office declared that they do not have regulatory standard. We did research and found out that facilities go through construction standard before the last permit, fire permit. The owner did not go through such procedure. Why? ABCD became independent in 2019.
Thank you, ma'am. Your time has expired. Our next speaker will be Cesar Javier, followed by followed by allegedly Audra.
Thank you, Sandag. This is a reprieve, an hour reprieve. We get here the big word hope, the big word public trust upon our city elected officials. We are happy because we heard the moral advice of the promoted police officer now on the southern sector. If I may pronounce it, Tayoguchi, sir. We were reminded of your advice, Mr. Javier. Take care. Hang on. And we saw in his eyes, what do you call that? He remembered his mom, like my wife's status now, on the twilight years. That only means that this officer is, shall we say, honest. take care of yourselves and be careful. We did, sir. But we are only human to commit mistake. And Councilor Nakaba declared, Mr. Javier, you crossed the line. You look like a terror, a violent man. And so we are walking on the ridge of justice and injustice. To you. We only meant to solve this environmental hazard issue in our community. It's not only for ourselves, but for us. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Sandra.
Our next speaker will be allegedly Audra.
We have a significant public safety issue with law enforcement in San Diego. The San Diego Sheriff Deputy, Nick Gonzalez, at a San Diego board meeting. He's actually very proud of it. He gloats about it. He told me, "You're welcome for doing it." And it's funny because I'm telling the people that are complicit in hiding these types of things. So it's going to be probably falling upon deaf ears. And I would even play you an audio of Nick Gonzalez admitting that he beat me up, even though he was totally exonerated for doing so. It's on tape. And Anthony Ray, you were sitting right in the Board of Supervisors meeting, rocking back in your chair when it was happening, and you were interim sheriff, and you neglected to sit there and make sure that your deputy was not using excessive force on somebody who did not commit a crime. And Andrea Ebbing was assaulted by Anthony Warner in the San Diego Police Department for being at a Linda Vista skate park and exposing what's happening at Las Colinas Jail. And right now she is currently in Las Colinas Jail, and I'm very concerned because the last time, or the last 2 times she was there, she's been neglected medically, and she has had a brain aneurysm. She is a whistleblower that has been exposing Summer Stephan and her connection with Andrea's ex, Matthew Bruin, and was reporting crimes that he's been engaged in. In fact, he has abducted their daughter, and now she's in jail for it. So it's interesting that when you want to go and commit crimes, report crimes, you're being retaliated against. And she could very well die in there, and I believe that that is what is attempting to happen with Summer Stephan. And it's very interesting, the players that are in play, because the judge that put her in there was working for the DA just a year before.
Thank you. That concludes the public comments on this item.
Thank you very much. Next, we have any non-agenda member comments. This is an opportunity for agency announcements or information to be shared. Any announcements? All right, thank you. I'll now hand it over to Grace Mino for a Sandag update.
Good afternoon, PSC members. My name is Grace Mino. I'm the Senior Director of Data Science and Information and Technology. I'm filling in for Mario today. Mario is representing Sandag at the California Transportation Commission meeting up in San Jose. I want to notify the PSC that our fiscal year 27 budget, the Board of Directors had unanimously approved it last Friday. And Bike Anywhere Day we have so far. There's still time to sign up, so check out our website if you for more information. And then office closure. Sandag, the main office and the customer service center are closed on Monday, May 25th for Memorial Day, and I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you, Grace. Before we move into the agenda, Tony, do you have any updates from Argus?
I do, yes, thank you. I want to give you a couple personnel updates. Committee, as some of you know, last August our trainer Lynn Chimino had passed away after a valiant fight. And our training duties were being covered by Noy and Cami, who you guys know very well, and Lloyd Munter, who's watching from the internet somewhere up there right now. Well, we brought on Robert. Robert's been with us now for the past month. We're bringing him up to speed, and in the very near future, we have to hope to have our training program back up to full speed, serving the region. So we're very excited about that. Also, we have an employee who's been in the hospital for about 60 months with an issue, and he's gotten the word that He should be able to be released next week, and we're very excited to have him out healing with his family and maybe back to us in the next 2 or 3 months back in that area. In terms of potential new customers, here at Indian Affairs San Pasqual wants to be a customer, but they're working on their CLET certification. They not only want to have access ARGIS as a law enforcement entity, but also provide data. When that time comes, we'll come back to you to ask if you approve their membership or not. We'll do a small presentation on what we're doing and why, but they're moving forward to that. And then this past week, we received a request from the Department of Homeland Security Officer Inspector General for a quote for service. And the OIG's office from DHS had been a customer for a long time. They stopped being a customer in 2019. They're interested again. And OIG, they do basically audits, inspections, and evaluations. They also investigate fraud, waste, abuse, and criminal misconduct involving DHS programs, people, and funds. And we'll see what happens as we have communication with them. And if they get to the point where they may become a customer, then we'll bring them back to the board again for your approval, along with the chiefs and sheriffs before that, in that time. Also, lastly, one of today's presentations. In January this year, one of our public members, Truth, made a recommendation that we have a presentation on missing Indigenous people, and we thought that was a really good idea. So we asked Erica Pinto if she would come in and do a presentation for us, and she was very grateful. We look forward to that presentation later today. That's it, sir.
Thank you, Tony. We're going to move on to consent. Francesca, are there any public comments on this item?
Thank you, Chair. We have 4 public comments on consent. We'll start with Cesar Javier and then allegedly Audra.
We will not compete, but rather reinforcement. Fellow learners and teachers. Minutes, yes sir. Chair Public Safety Committee reflects robust study. We were here. We heard, we have seen the efforts, sincere efforts to craft policies and implement them. Value analysis, however, a recommendation, a suggestion. ARGIS has registered 6 pollution, a crime against society. It was presented somewhere, and we remember that. And what is going on is real. We have unseen enemy. The things we touch, the fluid we drink, the food we eat, are real enemy. We suggest that we craft a force of law to defeat environmental hazards. Realistically, it put balance and rigid foothold on the foundation of APCD's clean air as an example. For all rich and poor, clean air. The gross neglect and ignoring the victims of pollution at the border only shows that we lack that grip to ensure that San Diegans in that area are safe and healthy and will survive the modern time. Let this be an awakening.
Thank you very much. Your time has expired.
Thank you.
Our next speaker will be allegedly Audra, followed by Blair Beekman.
It's extremely difficult to trust crime reports that are coming forward from people that are hiding crimes that are being perpetrated upon the people. I wonder how many of you have been assaulted by an officer. Many of you are officers or have been. Raise your hand. Who still have residual injuries 4 years later that no attorney wanted to pick up because of who you are, all for speaking at a board of supervisors meeting about COVID. Do I have to see that man every day because or every time I go to a meeting because he's works still at that building? And again, he told me, "You're welcome," for beating you up. And admits to beating me up. Yet there was no excessive force that was filed, nothing like that. And Andrea Ebbing had her face slammed into the ground by Anthony Warner. Both of these officers never did an arrest that was following protocol. They never followed their own policies, yet have been exonerated. And now Andrea Ebbing is going to be charged with a felony because Anthony Warner slammed her face into the ground. He was claiming that he got bit by her. And it's like, if there is no justice for the people, then how can you guys be trusted? You're supposed to be the backstop to all of that. You're not supposed to be engaged in it. So how can we trust you? If this kind of stuff can take place and people sit silent about it, and when you speak about it, you get punished for it. Power corrupts, absolutely. When people are in power like this, and it's sad because child trafficking happens as well, and you guys are engaged in it. You actually abduct children from their families, and they get trafficked, and it's all for profit.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Our next speaker will be Blair Beekman, followed by Gambler.
Hi, Blair Beekman. I had a problem with my Zoom on the previous item, so I couldn't stick it on agenda public comment. Sorry. But I think I can fit my comments, some of them, into this, into the consent of the oral meeting minutes. That you talked about ARGIS systems. Well, I guess first of all, what's going on with Andrea Ebbing is kind of shocking. She's being charged with a felony. I hope you guys can be considering forgiveness practices, so there can be a more focus on the de-escalation issue. The police seriously lacked for this issue that I think much more need to be addressed. Something's gone really wrong. Good luck in working on it and addressing it. My feeling that just arriving in a train station right now, it's my feeling that people are getting out of the train, go online, and it's a slow process. That, okay, my train door here. It's my feeling that, sorry about this. ARGIS issues the way you do. You know, in a short 3-month time period, you guys really worked on ARGIS issues a lot, and thank you immensely. I've learned that there's state bills.
I think we may have lost Blair.
And that sort of issue. And so it's, I'm interested in how you're going to be working on that and addressing it, as Quest should be the only people to do that really in the future, maybe. Thank you. I don't know what happened to my timer.
Thank you, Blair. Your time has expired. We'll go ahead now to Gambler, who will be the last public commenter.
The system is corrupt. If you speak out, you will get punished. If you hit a nerve, you will get punished harder. She is going through the same suppression mechanism that the County of San Diego is using against me. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and talk about the judges that were assigned to her case and my case. Both appointed by Newsom right before the hearing, right before that. Here's the deal. She was married to a guy that was part of one of the rehab centers that is corrupt. She, most likely, was saying something about that, and they ended up getting a divorce. So what ends up happening? Because she doesn't like what's happening, she continues to speak out. Then they take her frigging kids away from her, right? Yes. That you guys use against her. The fact that she constantly calls, they're not allowed to go in and call because you take your fucking these structures right next to the friggin' railways without any parking. Go ahead and force people into these structures that no one really uses in San Diego. Yes, I understand that you want to go ahead and force us there because you don't have the money to go ahead and fix our infrastructure. That's why you buddy up to all these organizations. I am sick and fucking tired of the way you treat the fucking people and you ignore us and you push through because they're unions and then groups tell you to. So it's definitely brought in illegally, most likely through illegally. Dude, you guys are so fucked.
Thank you. Your time has expired. That concludes the public comments.
Thank you. Are there any member comments? If not, if there's no objections, can I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda? Councilmember Moreno with the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Chief. Please go ahead and enter your vote by voting on the clicker.
Mine for East says received on here, but did not show up on there.
It is entered it now, so I'll
No problem. Just wanted to make sure.
We're good. It'll be tallied.
Yes, we'll correct the voting slide, and that was just
Outstanding.
passed unanimously with those members present.
Okay, motion approved. Moving on to item number 4, Argus aged accounts receivable adjustments. Argus will review aged accounts from NCIS and ask that the public safety. Oh, but for now, before I just make this statement, I've got Tony to present this item.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Public Safety Committee. Today I'm here to discuss several aged accounts. First, I want to share Board Policy 17. Sandag Board Policy number 17 allows for the Chief Executive Officer to write off uncollectible debts in the amount not exceeding $5,000 per account. Since the individual accounts in today's presentation exceed that amount, we're presenting your request. We're presenting our request to you, and if you agree with CIS for 2016 to 2019 be written off as uncollectible. Here's the background. In December of 2021, Argus assigned staff to identify and collect outstanding unpaid invoices for several delinquent accounts were identified and successfully collected. Through this effort, 3 outstanding invoices associated with the United States Naval Criminal Investigative Service, or NCIS, were identified. 2 of the invoices were from fiscal year 2017, one in the amount of $6,319, the other in the amount of $4,138. There was also an invoice for fiscal year 2019 in the amount of $12,495. The total uncollectible debt for these three invoices were $22,952. Between December 18th, 2022 and March of 2026, staff made multiple attempts to collect these outstanding balances through emails and telephone calls, and there were multiple conversations between Argus staff and NCIS staff. During this process, we learned that there was no formal executed contract supporting the fiscal year 2017 invoices totaling $10,457. That's right, there was no contract executed for the services that were provided. In May of 2023, the customer indicated they were willing to pay and were reviewing this issue, but the customer indicated it would be difficult because of the age of the charges, the challenges in obtaining supporting documentation, and there was an absence of a formal agreement where it would be difficult. They were provided. Regarding the 2019 debt, the customer stated that payment for the 2019 invoices had been submitted. Sandag has no record of the receipt of payments, and Sandag has reconciled all payments received with invoices that have been issued. It's possible the customer paid the bill and Sandag made a mistake, but Sandag has no records indicating that. On these issues in 2017, that means the Argus personnel, the Sandag personnel, are no longer here. Sandag or Argus anymore. I also know the NCIS personnel that were involved in these issues in 2007 and 2019 no longer assigned to the duties dealing with us in this area. So
Mike, closer
Yes, sir. I can bring closer. So I'll just from Artis, Sandag, and NCIS are no longer involved in this process. They are doing something different right now. Given the significant years that have passed, the lack of a formal contract for the 2017 charges, staff turnover at the 3 entities, and the absence of payment after repeated attempts, we believe recovery of the 2017 and 2019 balances due is no longer considered feasible or cost effective. It is becoming very expensive for us to try this over and over and over again. And also the debts that we've identified have been covered by the Artis Fund balance already in the past. So we're asking you to recommend that the Board of Directors approve the debts for NCIS from 16 and 19 be written off as uncollectible. And I would also like to add the NCIS has been a valuable customer since 2008, and that everything has been current since 2020 or for the past 7 years. And NCIS pays $80,000 a year in advance for services every year. And at this point, it is a short presentation, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have regarding this issue.
Thank you, Tony. And just to let our board know, or our committee know, that Artis will review aged accounts from NCIS and ask that the Public Safety Committee recommend this item as an uncollectible debt to the Board of Directors. So I want to acknowledge that this item does say approve, but the PSC's role is to recommend the item to the Board of Directors for approval. That being said, Francesca, are there any public comments on this item?
Thank you, Chair. We do have 3 public comments, Cesar Javier and then allegedly Audra.
Thank you, Sander. We have been with you many years, and it's always the money that is the root cause of all these caboodles, confusion, and to some degree justifying whether we will allow. We have the debtor or the one that has owed something has by all means to pay. The only leverage is it shall remain unpaid until fully understood, until fully the service was deserved to be paid or not. Thank you, Sander.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be allegedly Audra, followed by Blair Beekman.
Yeah, I mean, nobody should be paying for this service because you guys put fraudulent information in there. My information is in there for being arrested at Board of Supervisors meetings 3 times. And it's interesting because even the city of San Diego wanted to arrest me and the SDPD for interrupting a meeting when they didn't even have a quorum. So me calling out that they cannot conduct business without a quorum makes me a criminal. Then all the information that you guys put in here is fraudulent, because I shouldn't be having my information being bought and sold in here as though I'm a criminal. When there's criminals that are out here, it's like all these officers, all you guys, you are the ones who create the criminals. It's a revenue, it's a for-profit business. And it's sad because it's like, you're supposed to be there to protect us. Who do you go to when the sheriff beats you up? To the sheriff and be like, hey, can you do something? Dismissal because this is a false arrest. This is did not follow protocol. Then all of a sudden, it's like interesting when everyone's under the thumb of the DA, how things change. And do a psyche or a competency evaluation in there. What a perfect place to do that, right? Right. There's always room to course correct.
I think our next speaker will be Blair Beekman, followed by Gambler, and Gambler will be our final speaker on this item.
Hi, Blair Beekman. Thanks for the words of DRA. There always can be room to course correct. Let's hope that can happen. It's really surprising what's happened to Andrea these days, and I've been begging the city of San Diego to be working towards forgiveness, and we have to kind of address our retaliation factors that are happening a lot in San Diego, and this is not the way to do it. So good luck that we address such issues and get to the heart of matters. There's EMT issues involved with Andrea Evans' case we also need to be talking more about too. I hope that can be addressed also. Sorry my mic was bad previously probably, and you heard a lot of train noise. I was just getting off the train, and very sorry about that. Interesting item here, the state of accounting, that this happens in re-establishing good accounting practices. So this sort of item happens, and I'm sorry it's happening, and you have to be working on it as you can. I did want to be able, if I could, to try to mention in the work of Argus and what you need to be doing with data collection of immigrant populations and such. Coming through, that's being questioned. I've been talking about how Jayhawks, can be a major source of that's maybe where data collection can go, and Argus can do. It's just up to people like Klex, who are the major people that we ask about these things, and we leave our surveillance data centers alone. Interesting concept. Good luck how you work on it. And I also wanted to quickly mention, Oakland is again working on things besides their ALPR vendor issue. They're leaving Flock, inviting the community in a slow, methodical process over the next year or two to work out a new ALPR vendor and a new surveillance data collection vendor. Thank you.
Thank you. Our final speaker will be Gambler. You can go ahead.
They're trying to remove her conservatorship away from her. She's not crazy. The data that she says, there's evidence of it. It needs to be investigated. Her claims need to be investigated. Flat out, end of story. The county is doing the same thing about election security, where anyone can go ahead and steam open a ballot and switch the contents. The registrar's office will go ahead and adjudicate those ballots and make sure that they are the proper ballot type when the final count is done. That's why it takes so friggin' long. On top of that, third-party organizations have no issue writing up false registration cards that get passed through the system because it gets checked through the Secretary of State. These people are the ones electing you. You don't want to go ahead and look into it because you all know it's true. Now, I didn't pay attention to every action that you guys have done, and yes, I have been cataloging a lot of it. I'm going to start investigating you guys as much as I did that, and every freaking thing. If you don't step up and do your fucking job, you work for us. You don't work for these organizations that have no problem shutting up the people that stand in their fucking way. I do not understand how you guys could sleep at night on how you go, motherfuckers, I swear to God. Yourself. Seriously. How do you go to fucking sleep every day? Fucking heart at all? Is the money that fucking good? The power that fucking good? That you don't even care to do fucking research. You don't even care to see where the core problem is. You're like, oh, fucking more money, more power. Oh, I can pat myself on the fucking back while doing nothing. Nothing at all.
Thank you. Your time has expired. That concludes the public commenters.
Thank you. To the public, I'm just going to make this one thing quick and clear, just to ensure the discipline of these meetings. First and foremost, that certain comments are allowed to be made during absolute open commentary. That is fine, but we're going to stick to the agenda. If you're starting to discuss something that has nothing to do with the agenda, I will ask our side to be able to cut you off. The second thing is that profanity and that type of language, you will get cut off here, okay? We're here to be respectful to the public, and we're requesting it to be sent back, and we're going to do this in a civil manner. So I'm just going to kind of lay that down here moving forward, at least in this committee. That being said, are there any member comments? Questions? You have questions? Yes, Ms. Martin.
Thank you for the presentation. Can you verify that all contracts, all entities that have access to ARGIS have a contract, a current valid contract at the moment?
Yes, they do. All 63 entities.
All 63, wonderful. And then also, I don't think you'll have this answer, but you've surprised. How many accounts and what's the total of written off accounts by our CEO?
Yeah, I do not have that, but I can get that for you.
Please, if you will. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, Chief.
Yeah, just for the record, Director Wright, you can affirmatively say that you've exhausted all efforts in trying to regain this money.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, I moved a motion to approve recommendation.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second. Please use your clicker to vote.
That motion passes unanimously with those members present.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Okay, now moving on to our last presentation of the day, we're honored to welcome Erica M. Pinto, Chairwoman of the Jamul Indian Village of California and Chairwoman of the Tribal Chairpersons Association of California. Chairwoman Pinto is for indigenous communities, widely recognized for her work advancing tribal sovereignty, public safety collaboration, cultural preservation, and awareness surrounding missing and murdered indigenous persons. She has served on the Jamul Indian Village Tribal Council since 1997 and made history in 2015 as the first woman elected chairwoman of the tribe. Please join me in welcoming Chairwoman Erica Pinto. The floor is yours.
Push this one right here. Hi, Hauka. Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Erica Pinto, and thank you for the introduction. I also want to thank you for always acknowledging that this is Kumeyaay land. I want to introduce my colleague, Maritza Pinto. She's our program coordinator for MMIP-SD, Missing and Murdered Person, SanDiego.com, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later in the presentation. This is what we had to do as tribes and come together and form this coalition, and we'll touch on that later. But first of all, this is a clicker, right? This thing? Yes. I understand Truth wanted us to present, and thank you, Truth, wherever you are. If you're listening, thank you. We appreciate you. The roadmap that Maritza and I are going to cover today, we're going to introduce ourselves and some of the work that we've done. We want to talk to you all about what MMIP, MMIW, MMI, Women and Girls is, and it's used interchangeably. MMIW because it's mostly women and girls who are targeted. MMIP is more inclusive because men do go missing, murdered or assaulted as members of our community. And then we're going to talk about the movement, why it's important to us, and what are we doing to combat this crisis, and then how you can help. So as I mentioned, I'm Erica Pinto, and I do have the honor of serving my tribe for the last, it's going on, I think, 30 years now. I really enjoy what I do. It's the stress, the things that we see as tribal leaders, the calls that we receive. But it's my responsibility to my people, not only my people in Jamul on my tribe, but all the reservations throughout the state and San Diego County. As you all know, there are 18 federally recognized tribes in San Diego County, and that's the most in any other county in the nation. The United States Constitution recognizes our tribes as distinct governments, and tribes, with a few exceptions, have the same powers as the federal and state governments to regulate our internal affairs. At Jamul, for example, we abide by a constitution and many policies and many ordinances that enforce laws in our reservation. And sovereignty, that's a big word you're going to hear throughout all the tribes that you come into contact with. The sovereignty refers to the right for our our tribe, for Native Americans, to govern ourselves. The sovereignty for tribes includes the right to establish office. You know, we can remove and impeach people if we need to, and we determine our membership requirements, enact legislation, establish law enforcement and courts. I missed that I mentioned to tell you that I also serve on the board of directors for Southern California Tribal Chairpersons Association. I'm the vice president. I also serve as the Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Tribal Advisory Committee for Secretary Kennedy. Also the DOI, Department of Interior Secretary's Tribal Advisory Committee. So I'm all over the place, and I get to see some things that not a lot of people get to see throughout Indian country, and just how similar we are, but also how unique and distinct we are. But MMIP, MMIW is something that all of us, it's an epidemic, it's a crisis in our communities. So what is MMIP? What is MMIP? MMIW, as I said, they're going to be interchangeable use. It's missing and murdered Indigenous peoples, or women in this case. As I mentioned, women, because we have those higher statistics to be assaulted, to be murdered, to be stolen. It also seeks to draw attention to high rates of disappearances, murders of Native people, particularly women and girls. It's a relatively new movement, but it's been going on for years, and I can even say hundreds of years. Trying to multitask. The movement. Throughout the United States and Canada, a disproportionate number of Native women go missing or murdered or stolen. Exact numbers of missing and murdered Native people is challenging to pinpoint, as many incidents go unreported, but the media has historically failed to give the issue attention it deserves. As some of my women and girls mention and see, in the United States, when a non-Indian person goes missing, they question, how come this non-Indian person gets all the attention and all the media? Why aren't we looked after like that? Why aren't we searched for? Why aren't we found? Are our lives not valuable? And that's what it leads to, really. Reports from 2018 reveal that 84%, and I am going to throw some statistics out, so if you have a pen, it's good to jot these down so you just know the gravity of this issue for us. Reports from 2018 reveal that 84% of Native women experience violence in their lifetime. 56% experience sexual violence. Homicide is the third leading cause of death for American Indian Native women, and homicide rate for Native women is more than women and girls in the U.S. experience violence up to 10 times higher. And that is outrageous. The national average homicide is their leading cause of death among American Indian Alaska Native girls ages 15 to 19. Next slide. The violence that Native American women face is attributed to several factors, including historical trauma, limited access to education, jobs, stable housing, and even though for law enforcement. If you look at a map from a bird's eye view, you will see in the state of California and probably throughout the United States, the majority of the tribes' reservations are located in way out in East County. You have the Manzanita Band, you have the Posta Band, you have the Weopipe and Campo, and the conditions are, not the greatest as it would be if we were still down here by the ocean, being able to collect our foods, and it's really difficult to that's sustainable. So these opportunities are not out there for our people. I want to touch upon historical trauma. This is a big one for us. Historical trauma is multi-generational trauma experienced by American Indians from and following violent colonization, destructive behavior. marked propensity to violence, and is exhibited through self-destructive behavior for violent or aggressive behavior, substance misuse, and addiction. Historical trauma also involves the additional challenge of death. Although these happened decades, hundreds of years ago when the Spanish mission came, we are victims experience significant trauma or pain. Healthier and safer Native communities means healthier and safer communities for all. Next slide. What are we doing to address this crisis? Well, it is the tribes in the state of California and the nation hope law enforcement, with our tribal law enforcement, with our health data, about the MMIPSD, as I mentioned, which is another organization understanding the root factor that contribute to these issues is crucial to identifying and developing meaningful solutions. MMIP and other public safety challenges in Native communities are not monolithic issues with a single cause or solution. Next slide, miss. And then the next slide after that. Things like Savannah's Act, which is a federal act that was passed in October of 2020, and MMIP, improving tribal access to federal criminal, improving data collection, on Attorney General to review and revise and develop law enforcement and justice protocols appropriate to address MMIP. It was named after Savannah Lafont, an American Indian murdered in at the time of her murder, so she facing the same fate. I want to talk a little bit about some of the towards making this better with law enforcement. Sometimes the data is collected, sometimes it's not. Sometimes we need to get to the bottom of this. I know it's a far drive. But you may have seen the red hand print over the mouth, and it's a campaign that MMIPSD has launched last year. You've probably seen billboards throughout San Diego County. That is MMIPSD, a collaboration of tribes including Paula, Saquon, Manzanita, help me out sis, San Pasqual, and we're growing, Mesa Grande. So these tribes have seen that there is a need for these collaborations. We've come together. And that print that you see is the silencing of American Indian women, because that's how we felt. Because it's those statistics, and I have to practice that word too, those statistics that we see are alarming. And they are not in favor of the tribes. This murdered girls whose voices are not heard, and also for the silence we can all do better. Again, and for the oppression and subjugation of Native women, for allies who are rising up to support MMIP movement. Next slide. That the state of California, and many of you may know about this, legislation out, it's AB 1314. Has anybody heard about this? This is called the Feather Alert. This is similar to the Amber Alert, similar to the Silver Alert. And when Feather Alert focuses on the recovery of Amber Alert in California, the Feather Alert has shown success in bringing our people home. We've also just recently, last week, during DA Summer Stephan's office, and also the Bureau of Indian Affairs. So Paula and Hamul have taken the first step And this MOU is a testament to all of us and a responsibility for us to collaborate and make sure we come together to finally end this epidemic. Finally. Legislation is ongoing. Legislation in the Assembly, actively working to protect our people, especially Assemblymember Ramos, the first and only American Indian in the Assembly. Next slide, Miss. Right hand, do that one. Education. So here's what you can do to help. Educate yourselves, like today. And I want to say thank you again to Truth for recommending this presentation. When you know what the issues are, when you know what needs to be addressed, then we can do better. Education, take time to learn about it like we are today. It's used interchangeably. MMIWG, Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls. MMI terms focusing on raising awareness for Indigenous people who are disproportionately impacted by violence. Next slide, use your voice. Speak up. His voice is vigils. Attend the candlelight illumination, the vigils. The County of San Diego just illuminated their building for the last 2 or 3 years, and that brings awareness. You look at the building, go, what's it red for? You'll want to know why it's red and what the issues are. Humboldt Casino and many casinos raise flags. They may seem like little, minute steps, but they're powerful, and it raises awareness, and it causes action. Speak to friends and trusted allies, and consider using social media as an outlet. And I would recommend the training. Many tribes train their staff. Many tribes have hotels, their staff, their hotel, their EVS, and human trafficking, and how to identify it, because of that. Support and don't shame. No one's life is more valuable or less valuable than the others. And I know sometimes to my people, my young girls especially, it can appear that way. We must do our best to show that all lives are valuable. Our American Indian lives are valuable. Women's lives are valuable. Evaluating your own personal lives, questioning our internal bias or judgments about others is important. Put that aside. Put that aside when you go to the reservation. We are still suffering. It shows we need that healing. And through all these points that I just raised, we can eradicate this together. Those MMIP who engage in substance abuse, stigmatized sexual activities, or who are houseless, deserve just as much shame-free and stigma-free support than MMIW who do not engage in those behaviors. Practice self-care. I know the job each of you do in this room is stressful, can weigh you down, can sometimes be, and I don't know if she's watching, but I told her to watch. If we don't take care of ourselves, we ain't gonna be any good going into the community and trying to care for others. So you must care for yourself. Taking care of yourself, leave room for grief, because we have to, and that's a step in healing for us. Identify good coping skills. Manage your mental health. Seek help when you need it. Engage in MMIW, MMIP advocacy, and that's key to continuing the movement. And I think I might have skipped over your words, sis, but do you have anything you want to add about the MMIPSD?
Thank you. Thank you for having us and giving this. We've been growing a lot, taking steps that really have never been taken. Doors have opened with a lot of people in the county and the city. We appreciate that. We've been able to meet with the San Diego Sheriff Department, have trainings. We're gonna have a search and resilience of tribal communities. We're made up of all the different tribes. We were working on, and with that, it's when we started introducing ourselves, I was very amazed and surprised at the same time that a lot of people didn't know what MMIP was. I am the mother of tribal members from Humboldt, all young, and so it is very important to me to be able to share. And being part of, I work with the school districts for a little bit as well. That is the goal, to extend it out and teach and educate everybody in regards to this, this crisis. That's why we have the billboards now. People have asked. So it is opening doors, it is educating people, and so it makes it all worth it. And everybody that meets with us and listens to us and takes steps for us, it's very meaningful, because it was hard to open those doors. It was very hard to have people listen and hear what we had to say. And we still have, you know, these people going missing, and it's true. We hear it. Being a MMIPSD, we get calls or we get questions, and they're asking for help because their, you know, their county's not helping. Like Chairwoman said, they're told their child probably just ran away and they'll be back. Not to worry about it. There's no need for a flyer. There's no need for an alert, and that's scary. That's very scary for us, because it's so many of our kids, so many families are going through this, and a lot of people don't see it and don't know about it. So we ask that you guys do share, go onto our website, MMIPSD. You have a lot of resources. There's a lot of ways that you guys can help, but we appreciate the doors that have opened. Thank you guys.
In closing, I just will let you know that all the tribes just want to keep our people safe. We want our people home who have been stolen. We want justice, and it's going to take all of us in this room. MMIP Awareness Month, and May 5th being the National Day of Awareness for MMIP. So I ask you all to get involved, and I really appreciate you all hearing us today, and thank you for allowing us to present.
Thank you very much. Before we go to member comments, Francesca, are there any public comments on this item?
Thanks, Chair. We do have 4 public comments on this item. We'll start with Cesar Javier and then allegedly Audra.
Thank you, Sandag, and thank you to our guests. Real life is not only on the tribal sector, but in San Diegan region as a whole society. We have acquaintance in urban planning, and MUN is central to developing our environment for survivability, sheltering humans, keeping our society more healthier, more vibrant, and hopefully reach a fulfilling life or longevity. And lastly, to provide him the circulation, mobility, to report to the police, hey, my wife, my daughter, etc. missing. You see how planning on these elements are very important and crucial as what you're trying to teach us, Mom. From conception to grave, this is the accountability, responsibility of elected governing officials. And to tell you frankly, City of San Diego is failing as far as leadership is concerned. Why? There is no dedicated department or office to look into health and safety of San Diegans. It's only at the county level where we have that health and human services. Of course, public safety is here. San Diego has 47 departments, and you could visualize, you cannot see where are these people delegated, responsible into looking into the health and safety of.
Thank you. Your time is expired. Our next speaker will be allegedly Audra, followed by Cam.
Will be reduced in the casino. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
As a native and a trafficking survivor, I appreciate this, but I also think it's interesting that we thank them for, acknowledging this is our land, but they don't give anybody a seat at the table to vote, not yet anyway. But these people, it falls upon deaf ears. This is something that happens all across the world. It's been happening since the beginning of time. It happens through CPS, children get trafficked through that. So you're going to the people that in the county that actually traffic children. They rip them from their families and create false allegations so that they can take them and get funding for it. It comes from Title IV funding and ASPA, and the Clintons brought this forward in 1997. And so it's an incentivized game. It's a very lucrative business to traffic people because you can sell them time and time and time and time again until they die, and then you can harvest their organs. And that's what happened is people were coming across during the border invasion that everybody wanted to say nothing was happening. Over 300,000 children went missing and still happen, and many of them got their organs harvested. They harvested adrenochrome. They actually torture children to take their blood because it is a drug that people take. So this is a taboo subject that nobody wants to talk about, but it's extremely important that we do, and that red hand goes across for all children. In fact, every month we've been having a Save Our Children March because this is what is in the Epstein files. And I know nobody wants to talk about this kind of stuff because it is extremely egregious. But until we continue to talk about it, nothing will change. So I hope that we can include all people in this because this is a massive business and our entire government is complicit up to the...
Our next speaker will be Gambler, followed by Blair Beekman.
First of all, I want to apologize to all of you. I thought I was talking to elected officials. I did not know I was talking to the workers. I feel bad for you. It's not your fault. You're helping. You want to help them. The problem is your boss's boss, they were elected by a fraudulent system. They're listening to these people. They're not going to commit the committees that you want to go ahead and do. So what is the solution? Right? I mean, I wish I could go talk to you guys and say, hey, look, I need you to go ahead and do this. But you can't. You can't demand them to look into the things that you want them to look into. You can't demand them to go ahead and do these things because if you do, you'll get fired. If you speak out, you'll get fired. How do I know that? Because I did. Because I recognize working for the county, you're actually working for yourself. And when the tribes are coming over here telling about our justice system, they're reporting, they already have flat out admitted, they have their own police department and they don't report shit. Okay, so don't point the finger at someone else and saying it's your problem. It's all our problem. That's exactly what Audra was saying. And she's been fighting this from day one. She was down at the border trying to go ahead and point this out, but yet each and every elected official, each tribe went ahead and baited this on. So you want to go ahead and stand like you're top of everyone else? No, you're not. You're just as bad and just as corrupt. The only problem is you're probably a little bit more corrupt because there's less visibility in your justice system. There is complete visibility in ours. You could track down the bills, you could track down who signed them, you could go ahead and track down who is pushing.
Thank you very much. Your time has expired. Our final speaker on this item will be Blair Beekman. You can go ahead.
Thank you, Cliff. And a really interesting item. Thank you. It sounds like this group is asking for like forms of legitimacy, and there's just an overall confusion and lack of communication between San Diego law enforcement, government officials, and the tribal land areas. You know, we've had meetings here at Sandag to try to vote on issues, and a lot of the, if I remember, the Indian councils themselves, I mean, on basic measures of how to be more a part of the process, a lot of the Indian councils voted no. And they don't want to particularly be a part of this process. So that is a very old question of Indian communities, how to work on issues and how to develop a dialogue and communication. And you're trying to listen to and heard. We're dealing with the same thing with Andrea Evan, law enforcement and legitimacy. They're not practicing it, and it's shameful, and it takes a lot of work to work through. And good luck what we can be doing to do that. And the work I do with tech accountability, it's the same thing. I mean, it's coming from a place of the UN, just all the best practices of a society that thinks, can do best. And it really invites participation and sharing, community input on how to decide the issues of our future. And how do you describe that to tribal lands? And ask them, by being a part of it, you're empowered to then make choices and decisions. And it's a hard bridge to create. And so good luck in tech accountability efforts also. Good luck with this item. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the public commenters.
Thank you, Francesca. Do we have any member comments? Councilmember Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Chairwoman Pinto, for your presentation and also for your comment. I know your sisters, right? Last name
Her name is Maritza. Yeah, she's my sister-in-law.
All right, so good to know. With some of the public comments, but today I'm going to say that I agree with two of the comments. One from allegedly Audrey and also from Blair Bleakman. Coincidentally, I was speaking with member Chief Valdovinos about bringing more awareness and bringing more of what the tribal communities need to the table here at Sandag. And I did bring up at the Sandag meeting, board meeting, and you were there, that we make decisions on the county level, but the unincorporated areas are the most misrepresented and sometimes dismissed, and we don't have a voting tribal representative there that I think is something that is very needed. So I'm from the city of Escondido, which is Kumeyaay land, San Pasqual Band of Kumeyaay, and I work closely with the chairman there, so closely with Chairman Pitt, Chairman Smith, Chairman Stallings, and well, the region that I represent and the neighboring communities, there are 5 tribal communities there. And coincidentally, as you were speaking of things, and I'm just kind of commenting because I think, I'm hoping that we'll be able to take it in that direction, or at least for other regions to take into consideration. I'm going to be going before the Chairman's Council next week, speaking on partnering, coming together, sharing of communication with what happens, in the communities. Because again, there are no physical borders and things bleed into one another, and we are aware of the human trafficking that's happening. And then also we work closely together with One Safe Place, with DA Summer Stefan, with human trafficking, You Can Stop Human Trafficking organization, and the MMIP is now a part of that. So there's more of an awareness system that's going to be a part of what we're going to be covering in this region because it's important. But I also, and I'm glad that you're here today, because I also wanted to bring up, and I was hoping to at some point have it be an agenda item, so I'll just mention. So looking under SB 535, it states all federally recognized tribal lands are automatically designated as disadvantaged communities under state law, regardless of their Cal EnviroScreen score. That means that they are entitled to the same. There's a lot of attention there. And just acknowledging, it acknowledges that they are an under-resourced community category, and we have not done any analysis on the quality of what they need, whether it's safety, being a part of conversation in the planning and other policies that have benefited other communities. So thank you for your presentation. I just wanted to comment to bring that to the table, hoping that we'd be able to go in that direction. Again, I only represent 5 tribal communities. They all share the same frustration, and I've seen growth in those communities, but the infrastructure surrounding it, nothing has moved and happened. Very little things are sprinkled here and there, almost to appease them for a little time. But emergency evacuation routes. There are no real additions from the inception of those communities. And gosh, the residents have more than doubled, and it's going to be growing even more. So looking at that infrastructure. And even with the air pollution control district, I was noticing that, wow, I see the map of everything, but it's not there. So, I do talk about, I wanted to bring to attention SB 535, but also bring attention to the fact that they pay into Transnet, and it may not be that they're paying from their communities because they don't have the infrastructure of the stores and such, but they go to Escondido, Ramona goes to Poway, so they have been paying into it, but yet they have not received their fair portion, because again, it's based on what you're contributing from your specific city. They're contributing indirectly through us, but yet they are being underserved, and I just think that things have just fallen on the floor a lot, and I hope to be able to. I thank you for what you do. And one more thing with, oh gosh, what is it? The Feather Alert. Rincon, I work closely with Chairwoman Lori Gonzalez because she's very active with MMIP. So Rincon is the first one that received approval to initiate the Amber Alert. So I'm hoping that that's something that will be available to all the tribal communities. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. That's good to know. I haven't been to one of these meetings in a long time, but can I respond to
The floor is yours. Well,
ma'am, and I didn't get your name, I'm sorry.
I'm Escondido Councilwoman Judy Fitzgerald, Mexican-Irish.
Judy Fitzgerald. Councilwoman, well, thank you for your comments. I know that there is discussion being had about tribes. We have seats at this table, but they're non-voting or advisory status. But I know it's going to take an active legislation from what I recall the discussions being, and I know we're trying to move in that direction so we have a voice at the table. But thank you for your comments. I appreciate them. And I look forward, I'll see you next week, Tuesday, then I'll be at the chairman's meeting.
Great.
Thank you very much, Councilmember. Are there any other comments? Yes, Ms. Cesars.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Chairwoman and Maritza, for coming today. There are so many different topics that we could talk about, but I'll focus on MMIP. So many of us are leaders in our individual cities. Yes, we're here representing the region. I'm representing East, where Humboldt is. And I'm wondering, what can we do at a city level specifically to support the MMIP SD? How can we be most effective, and also how can we best stay in the know? Like, is there an email list on MMIP SD or something like that that we can also follow in addition to social media? So that's what I'm wondering.
So we which is very important because we do discuss events coming up, trainings that we've been doing for our youth, cultural events, or we plan things out where we're moving forward. So we can meet after, and I can give you the information, and we can send a Zoom link for our monthly meeting.
Fantastic.
We appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
We'll be in touch then. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from our panel? Yes.
I first want to thank Truth for having this brought to the staff, and thank you for agreeing to agendize it. As a mother of an Indigenous woman, thank you so much. This is so needed, and I love your branding. It's really impactful, and good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments before I say mine? I'd like to thank both of you guys for being here. I'm a girl dad to 2 young daughters, and so when you say the things you say, first and foremost, it does impact me. The other thing, Chairwoman, I like to say is thank you for being the first elected woman on the chair back in a fan. Great opportunities, of course. Like I said, an opportunity for legislation to take place to get a voting seat at the table. There are, I will say, because it's right there, there is a seat at the table, and it should be filled. And so I please encourage also to have that seat filled every time, and they are allowed to say anything they so choose here, and as well as the board of directors. So that's not just even with the tribal associations, it's with all the seats that have been requested to be invited at our public safety committee, so that we can have these good, thorough, well-developed conversations. And a vote may not be able to take place, but at least we're all able to absorb the perspective from that seat. So just, if you could, please bring that back to the tribes and let them know that even though there's not a voting seat, that there is a seat to be filled. Second and last, I'm so glad that the tribes are looking into being a part of the ARGIS system. When I first sat here in this committee, I did a refresher with our Carlsbad Police Department, and to see the nexus in the portal and not to be siloed within your own jurisdiction, but if a crime takes place, you know that sometimes that criminal is not just staying put and that they flee. And so when they flee, we need to hurry up and get the message out in order to be able to investigate and then enforce a crime like the ones that you're saying. I think it's phenomenal to have someone call different agencies to just see if by chance this person exists. There is great data to be shared in order to keep our area safe. So please continue to work on that. Outside of that, thank you for your time, and I appreciate you guys. There's no vote for this, so outside of that, at this time, I'd like to acknowledge that there will be no Public Safety Committee meeting held in June in observance of Juneteenth holiday. Juneteenth commemorates the end of slavery in the United States and serves as an important time to reflect on freedom, equality, and the ongoing pursuit of justice for all communities. Our next Public Safety Committee meeting will be held on Friday, July 17th. Thank you for all your time and participation today, and we wish everyone a safe and meaningful holiday observance. We're adjourned at 2:22.
Talk about a bunch of robots. Everything falls upon deaf ears. Interesting when items like this are brought forward and then it really doesn't matter because nobody wants to hear about it, nobody wants to talk about it or admit that they're involved in it, that we fund it, that it's like the biggest business in the world. Yeah, so interesting. Gatekeepers to justice, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, hope everybody's having a wonderful day. God bless you guys. Stay classy, San Diego. It's never a dull moment. Bye.
I will. All right.
Everybody avoids the Noid.